You're up.
Thank you. Wow, Chris, I was just in tears listening to that story, both with just all of it. So beautiful. I raised my hand early to ask a question and then you kind of answered it, but I'll see if there's a follow-up, which was
Sure.
really when you're first meeting people, what is the first question or the first two questions that you use? You've obviously given us two amazing ones, but I'm curious if that's where you start or you start somewhere else.
So I go right into it. And so one of my favorite ones to ask is I do go right. I go and I preface the fact that we're going to play the question game because it's way more fun. And so another one of my go-tos is 2 extra hours in the day is a good one. But describe for me your perfect day. Another one, which is one of my favorites, especially in a dinner setting where you're like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, I don't want to talk about the Red Sox anymore. I don't really care about the Red Sox. The Patriots suck, right? Like, so that was for you, Scott.
Thank you.
But my favorite one is, all right, everyone, you wake up tomorrow morning, you can get a ticket on a flight anywhere in the world. You have 2 first-class tickets and you can choose your seatmate and destination.
Ooh.
Now, that seatmate cannot be a family member or a friend or a significant other or a spouse. It needs to be someone that you have never met before, and they have to be alive. Who are you going to sit next to and where are you going?
Awesome.
And I have to caveat that it cannot be Taylor Swift. So, because so many people choose Taylor Swift. So, and it's interesting as you look at, all you have to do is Google great icebreakers, and then you're going to find the ones that you're most passionate about. I like to find the ones that get people like dreaming a little bit and excited. And then you use that as the segue to then get deeper, right? I can't go right into, hey, Scott, nice to meet you. What's your dream? Right? It's like, whoa there, killer, right? Like we've got to, but I think that same thing, right? We can work through the path to that authentic connection much faster than we give ourselves credit for. And what I mean by that is that, so one of my best friends, and actually he'd be a great person to bring on, his name's Mayo Sewell. And I met Mayo getting coffee 7 months ago. And all he said to me getting in line with coffee, big African-American dude with his beautiful wife. He goes, bro, he taps me on the shoulder, bro, I like your energy. And I turned to him, I was like, bro, I like your energy. When are we hanging out? He was like, seriously? I was like, yeah. And he goes, I don't know, tomorrow. I'm like, perfect, come to my house for lunch. And that was it. And then I uncovered the fact that this guy ended up playing in the NFL for 5 seasons, then becoming the biggest drug dealer in the Southeast, then went to federal prison 6 months later for 7 years, or 6 years later for 7 years. And it was there that he found God and found his wife. And now he started a church in Atlanta. He comes here to this studio. We hang out for 4 hours, and then the rest was history. I go, like, he'll pick me up from the airport. I'll go with him to his black barber shop to hang out for 2 hours while he gets his magician stuff done. But what happens so often is we don't see it all the way through. And then I'm going to give one last tactic, which is so amazing. And you may have heard this from someone else, but the art of the video text message, right? When we actually use video for our text messages, it's the most beautiful thing. And I'm going to put a challenge to everyone that if you look at your life, and I do these executive retreats with a guy named Bart Foster, who he has a book and a platform called Business Outside, but we do these hikes where we have them pair up, and then we do some stuff alone and people space out, and we challenge them in the next 10 minutes as you're hiking alone. Think about your life as a tree. And if your life is a tree, we end up taking a veer left on a branch versus right. There are these people that have been that catalyst for us to choose left versus right. Think about one of those moments and think about who that person is, and then what you would say to them. And then everyone comes up and we get to the top of the mountain. And then we go, all right, take your cell phones out, you bunch of boomers, because we're going to make you feel uncomfortable. And get that selfie cam out, because you're going to send a 30-second text message to that person in a summarized version of what you just thought about. And we make them send it. And I mean, I get teary eyed talking about this because when you go through this process, most likely you never thanked that person in the first place. And they probably thought they forgot about them, and you rekindle this amazing connection that comes to life. And I actually did my last one to my wife. I was like, I never thanked my wife. And then so I was there crying, and like, it's just like such a beautiful thing. And so the art of the video text message, I know that's a long-winded response to it, but I want to make sure that I'm also delivering some of these amazing tactics that really do change how we can more authentically connect.
And I love, so Chris practices what he preaches. He sent Kathy a video message the other day, just saying how fired up he was to come on. And of course, she sent it to me, and we're like, we love Tuff. Like, you know, it changes the dynamic. So he actually practices what he preaches. Paul in Florida, you're up.